the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Busy hour coming up here and Follow the Money in 15 minutes. Fun card tonight in the NBA, including the two best teams in action. Yet again, they played a week ago. It was a great game. We'll break down that game. Tight end props to consider this weekend in the NFL. And Brad Powers on the national title game. Here we go best bets in soccer with Steve Wyss as he joins the program. Follow him on X. He's at Meatman Soccer. He is with the Nordic Football Pod. And because we win, he's on the progressive guest line. Steve, good afternoon. Thanks for the time. We appreciate it. With all these teams in the Prim playing midweek games and now a quick turnaround to play again over this weekend, when this happens over the years, does anything stick out numbers-wise that you want to follow in terms of betting the next time that they go coming up this weekend?
Good afternoon, guys. Hope you're doing really well. And you make a very good point there, Mitch. It's what it tends to do is favour the teams that have got bigger squads of players. I know in a lot of American sports you have set rosters in terms of numbers, but that's not the case here so much in the Premier League. It can be very variable how many players these teams have actually got on their books. So historically, it will suit the bigger clubs like your Chelseas of this world, your Man Uniteds, Liverpools, who've just simply got more players. And the difference nowadays, though, is that all of these Premier League clubs and squads have so much money to spend that there's actually some teams around who have bigger squads than you might expect. And some other teams like Manchester City, for example, don't have a big squad. Whereas Chelsea have got about 200 players. So I think it will suit the teams that can rotate and refresh around a bit more. But the fact is, it's not quite as big a factor as it used to be.
Okay, let's go to Saturday. Newcastle against Bournemouth. You're laying a goal with Newcastle. Tell us why.
Yeah, because they won their last 5 games by two or more goals, basically, Pauly. Actually, it's the last 6, sorry, not 5. Very good team, scoring a lot of goals in Alexander Isak. Might be the best striker in world soccer right now. That's maybe a little bit of an outlandish statement, but I actually think any team in the world would have him right now, happily. He's just playing some brilliant soccer. And if he gets a chance, he's going to put it in the back of the net. So I really like what he's doing. I really like what Newcastle are doing. I quite like Bournemouth as a team. I backed them a couple of times on this show at big odds, and they're actually unbeaten in 10 games. But I think that run ends here. They drew 2-2 against Chelsea in their last match, but I thought they were lucky. Chelsea should have been out of sight by half time. It should have been 3-0, 4-0, but they allowed Bournemouth to hang on and linger in the game. I don't think Newcastle will be as generous. They'll be more ruthless. They're at home where they're really well supported. For those who don't know, this St James's Park is, they're a one club city. So everyone in Newcastle supports this team, and they make a massive noise, and they're getting right behind the players. There's real momentum. Some people are even talking about Newcastle as a dark horse to win the Premier League this season. And if they keep winning these games, maybe they can get themselves in the conversations. But I certainly think they'll beat Bournemouth at least, -1 Asian handicap. So they win by 1 goal exactly. We won't lose any money whatsoever. But I think you can see Newcastle here winning fairly comfortably by a 2-goal margin or more.
All right, stay Saturday. You know what you're doing, Brentford. First half game. What do you Brentford Liverpool total? How do you want to play it?
Yeah, I actually lost on the first half goals in the Brentford Man City match in midweek. I don't know how it was 0-0 at half time. There was chances galore, and the goals came in the second half. Yes. So I would rather probably take the overall. I am taking the overall goal line 3.5 in the whole match. I think both teams can contribute. I think Liverpool are vulnerable right now. I know they're top of the league, and they probably are the most likely team to go on and win the Premier League this season now. But there's something about them I'm not convinced about. Defensively, they're giving up chances. There's contractual situations within the camp. Trent Alexander-Arnold probably going to move to Real Madrid in the summer for free, on a free transfer. And Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk also haven't signed new deals yet. So there's something not quite right. And I think you can get at them defensively. From an offensive point of view, though, Liverpool are quite frightening for most teams. Mo Salah's obviously playing at a very high level. Gakpo's had a fine season. And they've got loads of midfielders who can contribute with goals. Brentford, have got injury problems defensively. It's been a recent problem. They've conceded quite a few goals. Even Man City managed to score 2 goals against them. But yeah, I think this should be. I think Liverpool will just win, but I wouldn't put my house on it. So something like 3-2 Liverpool, 2-2 draw could be on the cards. 3.5 goal line looks absolutely fine. No problem taking the over here.
All right. Sunday, you want to oppose Tottenham. I think you're under the impression they're rubbish. They had the early lead against Arsenal and conceded twice to lose. Everton draw, no bet?
Yeah. Tottenham have lost 6 of their last 8 games. Now, some people might watch this and think, why on earth is Steve back in Everton here? Because they only won 3 games all season. But they just had a change of manager. Okay. David Moyes has come in. He's come back to the club where he spent at least 10 years before, and then he moved to Man United and it went wrong for him. He's a really experienced manager, a likable guy as well. I think he'll bring back some better feelings to the club. They only just lost 1-0 at home to Aston Villa. I think Villa's a tougher game than Spurs right now. Spurs are focusing entirely on the cups. Their league form is really poor. They're going to finish mid-table. And I think Everton really need the points. If you look at the bottom of the table, it's 3 from 5 teams are going to go down. They can pull themselves away from danger by scrapping out these results. Let's go draw, no bet. So full security if it's a draw. But I think in his second game in charge, Moyes can get the result that he needs.
How about a prop in Man City, Ipswich Town?
Well, this is a big play at plus 450. Liam Delap to score any time for Ipswich Town. He scored 8 times in the Premier League this season. And I think he's a really good young talent, English striker who could end up even making like the next World Cup squad. But there's a real good side story here that he originated at Manchester City at their academy, and Manchester City have come under some criticism recently for letting go of quite a lot of their good young talent. Cole Palmer, for example, they let him go to Chelsea. He's now one of the best players in the league. This could be the same mistake with Liam Delap. And he could quite easily come back to bite the hand that once fed him here and score any time. I really like this player. He's physical, he's technical, he's committed, and I think he might want to prove a point against his former club, who let him go for 20 million just because he probably never was going to get many minutes for them, but he's actually a really good player. He's showcasing himself at Premier League level with Ipswich Town. I think Ipswich could cause Man City problems here. I obviously think they're going to score against them, and if they do score, their main striker up front is the most likely person to find the back of a net. He's also on penalty-taking duty. Nice. So if they get one of those, there's a nice little bonus. It's too big, plus 450 for a starting striker against this Manchester City defence right now. It's way too big, the odds. And also, he's going to be hungry to prove a point. So I really like Liam Delap, and this is a player to watch out for those who like to back players regularly week to week.
Do you think we're less than a month away from the ruling on Man City with the points deduction?
I think we are less than 6 weeks away.
Okay.
So, yeah, possibly.
Are you still hearing 30 points at least?
I think if and when the deduction comes, it's going to be significant. Yeah, it's got to be big. The big question is then when it's announced, what will the appeals process be and how long that's going to take?
Follow the Money, Pauly and Mitch Wyss in the Sports Betting Network. Steve Wyss, our guest at Meatman Soccer on X. Because we win pod, Nordic pod as well, Nordic Soccer. Okay, EFL, Championship League, the league before, under the Premier League, Luton Town, what is it, 10 and 11 in a row they've lost on the road, but you're at home and you're backing them at home?
Yeah, they've not had a real problem at home this season, Luton. They've won, I think, 6 times out of 13. Generally a strong home team, well supported at their quirky stadium. They've just sacked their manager. This is the first match in charge for Matt. I've actually forget his name. Matt Bloomfield is his name, and he's coming from Wickham. Wickham doing very well in League One. It's probably going to scupper their chances for promotion this season.
I hate when that happens.
Well, you won't hate it because I think you're on Birmingham to win that league, aren't you, Paulie? Yeah. So that's going to help everyone out who's on Birmingham. But yeah, look, I think he's going to come in and do a good job for Luton. The real test for him, like you said, is going to be away from home, but at home, no problem. First match in charge against an average Preston team. Luton Town, plus 125 here on the money line. They're a team that have generally served me really well this season, either betting on them or betting against them or betting on their goals. So, yes. Yeah, I think it's a good time to get them with the new manager in the first match. I think they win and get a reaction out of the players after they recently sacked their manager.
I like it. Championship League, one more. Sunday, total Leeds, Sheffield Wednesday, under?
Yeah. Local derby between two teams who hate each other. Very early kickoff. And, because of policing, we could get riots with fans and stuff. But this historically is a very, very low scoring fixture. The last 7 head-to-heads have all gone under 2.5 goals. The last 7 have been both teams to score no. A couple of 0-0s were thrown in there as well. Sheffield Wednesday will come to Leeds and just defend. And Leeds at the minute are finding ways to win games, but they're not blowing teams out of the water. Only just beat Harrogate Town 1-0 in the FA Cup last week. It's going to be a similar sort of test. I would think eventually Leeds will find a way to win the game, maybe 1-0, 2-0. But it's got to be the unders. Under 2.75 is the goal line available here. So there's even a little bit of half security if there is 3 goals exactly. But I think this will go under the 2.5 mark. Like I say, Leeds 1-0 or 2-0. And the danger score for Leeds backers is the 0-0 because Sheffield Wednesday might be capable of defending pretty well. But we're going to get a tight game, stop-start, fouls, players getting committed and stuck in, the fans getting involved as well. And I think unders is the play for this match in Leeds.
All right. Great job, my friend. Good breakdown. Talk to you soon. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much, guys, and best of luck to yourself.
All right, you got it, meat man. Because we win pod. Nordic Soccer Pod as well.
Love the analysis. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Terrific matchup in the NBA tonight. Also, his prop has been very good to us, but I'm not riding his hot streak tonight. I'll tell you why next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Short card tonight in the NBA, but a good card, including one of the best matchups they can possibly get. We had it last week. They are the 2 best teams in the NBA record-wise here as well. Again, OKC, not going to be at full strength. They've been without Chet for a long time. They're without Hartenstein tonight. And they are down to a 1.5-point favorite in this game. Total is 233. Against the spread on the year, Cavaliers, best team in the league, 27-12. Thunder, 25-12-3. I'll break it down here a little bit. On the road, Cavs are 13-4 ATS. They are 3-0 as a road dog. Both those marks best in the NBA. The Thunder, 12-5-1 ATS at home. That's the best mark in the NBA. They've been favored there every single game. Only the Clippers and Magic are better as a home favorite, but they don't have nearly the sample size as this Thunder team. Are you worried by the Hartenstein injury?
Well, a little bit, but I just think the defense is so good. And going to the small ball lineup, that'll work tonight. And going back to the first meeting, it was the others that carried the day for Cleveland. And while you're going to get a better performance out of Mitchell, I don't know if the others are going to play like that, although they've leading the way the season. They've had this great turnaround offensively. But I'm going to trust the team. Best team in the league, essentially a pick'em at home to get it done and on pace to win 69 games. OKC at home tonight, our G-Bank best bet, official bank of VSiN. If you're serious about sports betting, need the G-Bank Visa signature card. Most credit cards treat sports books and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when you're putting your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3-5% on cash advance fees right there. Limited time $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in the first 90 days. VSiN.com. Get up there now. Apply at VSiN.com/GBank. They're on pace to win 69 games, and Chet has only played 10. Could be back in February.
Well, I would have guessed he played more than that.
They are plus 750 to win 70 games. Cleveland's 14-1. They're $1.45 to have the most wins on the season. Cleveland's plus 140. Cleveland's $1.15 to have the most wins at the All-Star break. But again, the gap between what it is defensively. Number 1 in defense, 102.9 points per 100 possessions. Number 2 is 107. The gap from 1 and 2 is the same gap from 2 to 13. What OKC has done this year. So also, it was a great game. And Brian Windhorst was there, so it was a splendid, one of the best 12 minutes of basketball he's ever seen in regular season. 43-41 Cleveland in the third quarter. I just think they'll do a better job at home defensively, and they'll still be able to score against, they're 6th offensively. So I think they'll be able to do what they want offensively against Cleveland, and they'll be able to contain the others who've done a great job and atone for that loss last week in a great game, 34-5 against 33-6. And I'll back the number one team, ATS, that's won 13-14 at home to get revenge.
What do you make of the total? Sitting at 233, 233.5 for the game tonight. The last time they played again 8 days ago, it flew over.
Yeah. A lot of great shot making, though, in that game.
Tons of great shot making, but the pace was out of control.
Well, that was the question we had. Who would dictate? They did. Cleveland sixth in pace. It was all Cleveland.
Yeah, OKC ran with them the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. So that maybe that gets there again, but that's a good in-bet play. So also, how did this happen? And I mentioned the similarities to the 2014 Warriors team. You make the playoffs, but it's not good enough. You make a coaching change. Atkinson, $5 to win Coach of the Year. Garland, number one in clutch field goal percentage. Last year, he was 1 of 4 out of 107 players.
Oh, wow.
They're number one in transition points. They're number one in 2-point percentage. They're number one in 3-point percentage. They're number one in corner threes. They're number one in true shooting percentage. They're number one in they're number one in assist to turnover ratio. And they're number one awesome clutch closing out games. Unbelievable. Add it all up, that's how they've done this, and their 34-5 record. And maybe the size could get to them in terms of the guards with what the Pacers did, beating them the other night, that could work for OKC as well. And maybe it's an SGA game, too. There's so many ways they can hurt you. He's up to $1.90 at DraftKings to win MVP, even though what Joker's doing every night.
Is he that high? I haven't looked in a minute.
Yeah. ESPN FPI gives Cleveland a 4% chance to win 70 games.
A 4% chance.
They're on pace for 71 wins, but what goes into that is,
of course,
huge lead in the division, rest guys, whatever, and long road trip back-to-back, whatever, and OKC on the 69 win pace.
What if the players went out there and they say, you know what, we would like to go for 70 wins? That was a thing for Golden State. They wanted to win. They wanted to break the Bulls' all-time record.
I don't know. Maybe Kenny will let him go for it. I don't know. It's a good question. But imagine what this team in Cleveland's a great story, and I'm buying them come playoff time, as I said. But imagine what OKC is going to look like with Hartenstein and Chet.
Yeah, they're the best
when
team
you're
in the
number one in
NBA.
defense, and this guy's been on the shelf for much of the season.
Yeah. Pacers are playing at Detroit. Pistons, short favorite here in the game.
What a story. What a turnaround here. Playoff team.
They are, as of right now, they're a playoff team.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, as weak as the eights are almost every single year in the NBA playoffs, specifically in the Eastern Conference, if this team landed the 8, I'm not going to say that they're going to give the Cavaliers like a run for their money, but that would not be a fun team to play. Like the Pistons this year as an 8 would just, top of mind here, would have to be like the best 8 seed. I know the Heat came out a couple years ago. They never should have defeated the Bucks. That was a total fluke. But so you put the Heat up there at the very top. Pistons, one of the best 8 seeds that we've seen probably in a long, long time. They are covering 55% of their games on the year. Malik Beasley, what a year he's having. Last 4 games, he's averaging almost 10 threes per game attempted, making 4.5 of them, 47.4% if you're looking at playing 3 props. But it's a high total again tonight with juice. Mm-hmm. Since December 4th, he's averaging more than 10 threes a game, making 4.2 of them. So he's been super hot in this team. And then you have Cade Cunningham, who's been one of the best players in the NBA the entire year. So they're a problem.
Yep. And the Sixers lost again. So what are they going to get? The 10 seed? Are they even going to make it? And I think the Pistons are going to do that, and I agree with you. They're going to cause people problems, even with the Ivy injury as well. Great job.
I know Washington is the absolute bottom of the barrel. The Phoenix Suns are the worst team in the NBA covering spreads. They're 13-25-1. They're laying 11.5 tonight. Do you have any desire to take the Wiz plus 11.5?
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
It's a ton of points for a team that it's like Boston last night.
Yep, check Beal's status. Absolutely. Major disappointment. I would take Washington as well. And to be chalky, the late games, I have to back both favorites. Sacramento laying 3.5-4 at home against the Rockets. I know they're a young team. That was great. But you're going altitude now to Sacramento on a back-to-back. Sacramento also beat them in the first meeting by 9 in December. They're hot. Great story, though. Houston 27-12. They won 5 in a row. I like the home team. And Clippers on a back-to-back. But again, how well they've played and how Powell has played, that they're likely going to win this division. How about that? No, the Nets just went to Portland and beat them. The Clippers beat them by 60 last night.
Yeah, they gave
Did
up
you see that?
67 at home.
Yeah.
And we have somebody who sent it in, and I'm blanking on the name on X, 14-4 team total, I believe, to the under when they play at the Clippers.
First time. Intuit Dome. Got it.
Intuit Dome, yeah.
Very good. So I could only look at the Clippers here with how they defend and how strong the supporting cast is playing. and a Portland team that's had some ups and downs, but a little concerned about you won a game by 60. But great job by the Clippers. So I don't want Portland though tonight too, but out of all those, OKC and then Sacramento, my top two.
All right. So if you've listened to the show or you look at the betting picks every day at vsin.com, you probably know that I've been hot and heavy with Jalen Green lately. He's been incredible. Specifically, his last 6 games, 32 points per game, 11 3-point attempts. We'll round up to that number. 5.3 makes. He's hitting 50% of them. The guy is one of the hottest players in the NBA. But I went back and looked. With this being a back-to-back for the Rockets, it's 3.5 again tonight. He hasn't gone over more than one time this entire year in a back-to-back. Here are his shooting performances in a back-to-back spot the entire year. 3 for 10, 1 for 6, 3 of 8, 1 for 9, 4 for 6 was the one over, 0 for 3, and 3 for 6. He's shooting, so I'm a little concerned about that. I call it a trend, call it what you want, but it's a back-to-back thing. I don't have to force it tonight. And he's been great in this stretch without having to play a back-to-back. So I'm not going to go there tonight, but I did play Malik Monk and his assist prop over 5.5 plus 110. He missed the game against the Bucks. Before that, since Doug Christie took over, Monk went to the starting lineup, playing a lot more point guard, and his assist numbers have been skyrocketing. In fact, I kind of want to ladder him up to like 8. I think 10's probably a little bit too high, but 8 pays a pretty nice number on him for that spot tonight. The only 3-point shooter I'm really going to look at tonight will be Jordan Poole. Haven't done it yet. I still got to find the best number. Since December 15th, 10 games, averaging 32 minutes, 24 points, 11 3-point attempts, and 4.5 makes. If I could actually, I would prefer like 2.5 over minus 160 with him, but I can't find that yet. So I'm going to keep searching. 41% in that time. Pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure against the Suns tonight, the total's 232. He'll get plenty of them.
A couple other observations. Mobley's down to 5-1, most improved. I also think this is award perfect for Powell with the Clippers. And going back to why the Cavs are so good. Remember, I thought you couldn't play Mobley and Allen at the same time.
Yeah.
But he's making it work. But again, this coincides with how well Mobley's playing and also Powell. And then the ESPN insiders on their podcast saying, get the hell out of here. When Cunningham, they were told he was the favorite for most improved.
That's right.
Max contracted. Come on.
Yep. More player props, divisional round up next. He scored a touchdown last week and now has a plus matchup in the divisional round. Find out who it is coming up here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Give you an update here on some players' health in the divisional round. Joe Mixon is suddenly questionable. That's not good. Paul Charchian came on 1 hour ago and made a great case to bet him under, and since that time, listed on the Texans injury report as questionable because of an ankle.
Yeah, big. There you go, ankle. Yep.
So I bet 59.5 under. I was going to do it anyway. You get busy and tied up during the show. That news comes out. Okay, now we're all in. Maybe he doesn't play and it's a refund. That's fine. But maybe he goes out there and gets 8 carries, ankle's no good, and he can't be a threat in that game. That is, he's one of their better players offensively. He had a nice year. I wanted nothing to do with that guy, like in fantasy football this year, and he completely proved me wrong. There's also this that I'm seeing right now. Dallas Goedert. Did he miss practice today because of an illness? Is that what I'm seeing right now? Trying to confirm that. Yep. No practice today. Dallas Goedert. Well, okay, assuming that he plays. And I know Charter's on him as well. Here are some numbers that you need to know. Yards allowed per game to the tight end position in the regular season. The Rams gave up 61.3, fifth most. As Chart said, there was a 5-game stretch back at the end of the year where they allowed the most in the entire league. It was like 75 plus. Hawkinson in the wild card round, 5 for 64 and 1 touchdown. Goddard in the wild card round, 4 for 47 and 1 touchdown. Now think about this for a second. His prop is around 35.5. Again, missed practice today, illness, assuming he's going to be healthy. Arizona scored 9 points against the Rams in Week 17. McBride still had 12 for 123 and a touchdown. The Jets scored 9 points in Week 16. Conklin had 5 for 59. The 49ers scored 6 points in Week 15. George Kittle had 4 for 61. The flukiest thing ever is that the Bills scored 42 points in Week 14. Dawson Knox 1 for 5. That was it. Yeah. But Taysom Hill, 5 for 37. Jawan Johnson, 5 for 36 in Week 13. Goddard only had 4 for 19 in the first meeting. A.J. Brown went nuts against the Rams defense, as did Saquon Barkley. Before that, Hunter Henry, 6 for 63. And I did see Goddard actually as low as 33.5 as the low mark in the market for his receiving yards this week. The Chiefs, Pauly, also very bad against the tight end position. Allowed the second most yards in the regular season, 68.5 per game. Stover and Schultz combined for 6 catches, 51 yards against the Bolts. Go back on Christmas Day, Freiermuth, 7 for 60. December 21st, Disley had a couple for 19, got hurt. Check that. I'll get to that game in a minute. December 21st, Schultz in the first game had 5 for 45 and 1 touchdown. Akins had 3 for 30 for the Browns. When Disley got hurt in the Chargers game against the Chiefs the week before that, he had 2 for 19. Stone Smart came in, had 3 for 54. Brock Bowers the week before had 10 for 140 in a score and 5 for 58 in the other matchup against KC that game. Could this be, is it going to be Mechie? Again, people are making the case for him.
Yeah, he's 35.5. Wow.
So if there's no Mixon, Damian Pierce.
I'm telling you, Mitch, this is the game where something funky could happen. Outside of Collins, all these guys are in the 50 to 40 range, and they could be sitting on big games.
Oh, let's get that
like
done.
Hopkins, Brown. I mean, should Worthy really be ahead of Brown for yards? And Kelsey's the second shot on the board. But that, who's going to have the most yards receiving in that game? That could be Hawkinson part 2.
I got the numbers here for you right now. Marquise Brown is plus 850. Dalton Schultz 10 to 1. Mechie is 14 to 1.
Yeah, yes.
Hopkins is 20. Now, if you want to get really nuts, Robert Woods is 35 to 1. Xavier Hutchinson 50 to 1. Could it be a Noah Gray game?
He could have 4 catches, 3 catches. Yeah.
You know what? Why
He's
not?
11.5? Wow. That's surprising.
Here's one for you. Charts really like P. Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
The best number I could find was 9.5. He is 66 to 1 to have the most receiving yards in the game. Could a running back do it between these two teams?
Oh, boy, he'd have to have a ton of catches.
Screw it and put Pete's money on it.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Live, damn it. Go ahead. Sure. Certainly, I can't say it. Schultz, 39.5 for everything we've talked about, how bad KC has been against tight ends. I'm on board with that, too. And maybe some ladders. Because the whole takeaway is, what if they take away Collins? And what if Collins has an off game? Then this really opens this entire prop up.
That could easily happen.
Which I know you got the bromance with Kelsey, but he's going to mix it around. Who do I stop? Who do I take away? Who do I defend? Little Worthy, little Brown, little Hopkins, look at these names. Little Kelsey, right? Dump it off to P. Ryan. Gray's going to have a couple catches.
I like Gray. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's good.
He had a nice season.
Right. So that's a good one. And same thing with the Bills and the Ravens, because it's going to be all about the rushing attack, but you also have the big playability here. Now, we'll see. Flowers didn't practice again, but this could be a big game for tight ends as well. And it's Baltimore, and I think, is it Buffalo, too, that struggle against running backs?
Buffalo, big time
Buffalo against running backs, right.
Yep.
So it could be
Justice Hill.
Yep. But I think that's the one here where, why can't Henry rip off a dump off for 50, 60 yards? That could happen. Well, Hill could have a ton of Go ahead.
I had him last week against Pittsburgh. They never even considered throwing him to him. I bet over 5.5. And so the thought was, well, they can just make that one screen pass to Henry, and that dump off can go in to a 23-yard gain or whatever. And I'm sitting pretty for the entire rest of the game. Never looked his way. It was all running the ball, and then when they would throw it to a back, I think it was Hill.
Yeah, I think he had one in the Week 1 game. Did he have one? Or maybe he didn't have. Because I was on the same thing in Week 1, but I would think that the playoff time they could give him a couple looks on that as well. But there's a lot of candidates here with Bateman and the tight ends. All 4 of the tight ends, even what Samuel did. I loved the Ty Johnson angle that Charge brought up as well.
That's
what
really
a catch
good.
that was.
I can't find his receiving yards prop anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good look. That makes a lot of sense.
By the way, we ask for screen grabs once in a while. If anybody sees that, you can shoot us on X at VSiN Live and Mitch Moss Radio at Pauly Howard. I would love to get down on Ty Johnson receiving props, but I'm looking at the screen right now. I don't see him listed anywhere, unfortunately. So you have to. He got creative. It was great analysis from Charge. If you missed it, you can go back. It was an hour ago, 4:30 Eastern Time, 1:30 Pacific Time. Go back and listen or watch on the VSiN Watch app right on your iPhone or your Android. So he wanted to get a little creative. He went last touchdown 33-1. We talked about quarterback rushing yards earlier. You're paying a severe tax this round. They are bumped up big time compared to where the props were for all these quarterbacks in the regular season, what they average in the regular season, because the assumption is out there that, and by the way, like Mahomes, again, he's played 18 playoff games. His number this week is like 23.5, 24.5. He has 9 overs and 9 unders, but he did, to his credit, like he's been 40 plus a bunch of times. He's been in the 60s before for his rushing yards. And then Lamar Jackson does have 3 career playoff games with rushing yards over 100 yards.
I love what they did against Pittsburgh until they took the elbow to the back. I love it. Good luck. Stop this. Design runs. I'm going to go off to my right for 5 yards every time or more, and here comes Henry up the middle. And how do you defend it? What are you going to do? Right?
Yeah. Another
Good
thing.
luck. What'd you say Mitch he was?
30.5 at the beginning of the week. Oh, 14-1.
No, there's 19 at DraftKings.
There you go. Better.
Yep. It's most receiving yards in the game. I think one of those can cash. Hollywood 12, Schultz.
Mechie's not bad. That's a look.
Okay. They took the Bills off the board because we don't know about Flowers yet. With who's going to have the most receiving yards in that game. Okay, beautiful. But no, you're right about you're paying the tax, though, too, and especially with Daniels. Even though the history with Detroit, that's aggressive to get. Can the guy have 58, 59 yards rushing? Also comes down to game flow, too.
Mm-hmm.
Are they trailing? Is he taking off? Whatever that. Are they playing catch-up the whole time? We'll see.
Getting a message right now from ProBetter. Well, I won't mention his name. But it looks like people are crushing the Dalton Schultz prop. They either have been crushing it or they are in the process of crushing it right now. So that was, let me see here. That was around 34.5 the way it looks. Now it's trending towards 40 in the game.
I agree with what Bill Barnwell said last week. The first quarter and a half, it looked like the Texans had never practiced before. It was that bad. Yeah. And then that play just changed the whole game.
It totally flipped.
And Ryan said it afterwards. They were ready to get run out. That should have been 17-0 Chargers. That was ridiculous. The bad call on 3rd and 1, Disley with the drop, and then should have been safety, intentional grounding. Whoop, over my head again. I turned that into a long play, and that leads to a touchdown.
Well, that to me was...
Somehow they had the lead at halftime.
That flipped complete everything.
Yeah.
That super long drive, that was the catalyst for it. I mean, come on, how fluky was that? Professional sports bettor Brad Powers on the program coming up next. How does he expect the national title game to go, and how is he attacking team totals, player props, the game itself? We'll ask him coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
With the national title game, a few days away here with professional sports bettor Brad Powers. He joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Website is bradpowersports.com. Follow him on social media at BradPower7. Good afternoon, Brad. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
I want to start with this. When you look at both teams and who they have played specifically in the playoffs, and maybe you can tell me that it's a stretch and I'm reaching, or there's something to this. Ohio State, obviously, at home, walloped Tennessee. Now, how good is Tennessee? That's debatable. Then, like, how many teams in the country could do what they did to Oregon? Probably 0 other teams could do that. Then they beat Texas. Now, I don't think Texas is, like, amazing, but their power rating was super high all year long, and Ohio State did not have their A game. If you flip it and look at who Notre Dame has defeated, Indiana, extremely weak schedule on the regular season. They beat an overrated Georgia team with an inexperienced backup quarterback. And then Penn State, super talented, but the head coach is 1-15 against teams in the top 5. Anything there?
Well, the way you broke it down, I would agree that Ohio State's had the tougher path and has had the most impressive path since the start of the playoffs. I mean, since then, I've upgraded Ohio State's power ranking since the end of the regular season by 5 points. Even though Notre Dame's won 3 games, covered 3 games, I've upgraded them, but it's been closer to a point compared to 5 points for Ohio State.
How about the Irish being battle tested with all those ranked wins, and then what they're doing? Is this a record? They've covered 11 in a row.
I got to look it up. I mean, I can't off the top of my head remember a longer streak. At least at I think the 08 Florida Gators, after they lost to Ole Miss, covered every single game. After that, Tebow had that famous speech. That's the first one that comes to mind. I think Western Kentucky, when they jumped up to FBS and like 10 plus years ago, covered a ton in a row, but not at this level. Especially if they were somehow to cover another one here and go 12 in a row, it's up there with the longest in the history of the sport.
Yeah. As a Notre Dame guy, what were you thinking when Kelly left and they promoted Freeman? Did you think somehow this would be a positive?
That's a good question. I mean, I was not a fan of Brian Kelly at all. So, I thought obviously the floor was much lower with an unproven coach and Marcus Freeman. It could have went bad. Keep in mind, Notre Dame was coming off 5 straight double-digit win seasons at that point, the most success they'd had as a program in a quarter century. But I thought there was a possibility that Freeman's ceiling would be higher than Brian Kelly, because obviously Brian Kelly didn't win the big games. Here we are 3 years later, and the floor was lower with losses against Northern Illinois, Marshall. So we've seen that, and even a game against Stanford where they were 2 touchdown plus favorite, lost that one. But the ceiling has been higher because Marcus Freeman's already in 3 years done something that Brian Kelly never did in 12 years, and that's win major postseason games, and Freeman's got 3 of them.
Yeah, and this is nuts, too, because they haven't won since '88. You got the rabid fan base with Ohio State. I think the get-in price is like $500 for the Euchre seats, and the good tickets are $1,500 to $2,000 as well. Do you think Ohio State blows out Texas if Henderson doesn't get that penalty?
Yeah, I mean, they were well on their way to 14-0. It looked very similar to start, at least at that point, to the Oregon game where nothing was going wrong, and then everything started going wrong for Ohio State after that point, and started with that penalty, turned into like 5 or 6 penalties in the first half. And then, on a down and down out basis, Will Howard was making all the throws early, throwing into tight windows, and then all of a sudden wasn't making those throws. Ohio State, when they're on, what we saw in the first 20 minutes of the game against Texas, what we saw against Oregon, what we saw against Tennessee, I mean, they're by far the best team in the country. They're just not the most consistent team. They tend to beat themselves from time, at certain points. And ultimately for this game, it comes down to this for me. Ohio State plays clean, they're going to blow out Notre Dame. If they don't play clean, then we might have a game.
Yeah, so is that too big of a question mark? The point spread is a great equalizer here, and I totally agree. If they show up with their A game, it could be a bloodbath. But if they don't, and there's a chance that they don't show up like that, then Notre Dame could be there late and could be a tight game.
Yeah, so how do you attack it? Well, I can tell you this. Obviously the point spread, we're last game of the season. It should be relatively inefficient. If you think your power rating has a difference of 3 or 4 points, I mean, you're probably not doing things right at this point in the season. But if there is some variance, where's it going to likely show up? Is it more likely Notre Dame, say it's 10 points off the spread? Is it likely Notre Dame wins the game outright, or is it more likely Ohio State wins by 17 or more? I think the answer is clearly Ohio State could win this game by 17 or more. So what I've done is I've attacked the alt lines. Minus 14.5 in pocket, minus 17.5 in pocket for me on Ohio State in this game.
How do they win the game and Will Howard is an MVP? He's $1.10. Do you think it? I mean, because Smith had 1 catch against Texas, even though how great he was against Oregon. He's $1.80 to have the most receiving yards. Do you think that's the bet too? Howard $1.10?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. The only thing is with Notre Dame playing predominantly man-to-man coverage, maybe one of the wide receivers blows up, and maybe it's not even Jeremiah Smith. Maybe it's Igbuka, who had 7 catches for 96 yards last year against Notre Dame. So that would be my only hang-up with. There could be a couple of explosives to just one guy at wide receiver. He has a couple of touchdowns on 150 yards. Then you're going to give it to him. So that would be my only hang-up.
You're Ohio State. What scares you about this Notre Dame offense right now?
Not much. I mean, Boy, Notre Dame got a bunch of explosive runs during the regular season. They were in the top 15 in the country in explosive run percentage. Now they're in the bottom 5 if you count the 3 playoff games. If you were to extrapolate that for the regular season, outside of the 98-yard run against Indiana, I mean, the running backs are only averaging 3 yards per carry. Jeremiah Love, I guess if he's closer to 100%, we've seen him a little bit better than expected against Penn State. But if he's not 100%, I don't fear the run game. I certainly don't fear the passing game either. So you asked the right question. I think, my favorite bet of this game is Notre Dame's team total under 17.5 or higher.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're right. I mean, if Love is totally healthy, the guy's a complete stud, and he could have a great game against anybody. I also don't know if he's going to be 100% healthy, but in the aerial attack, guys were wide open against Penn State. Is Riley Leonard going to beat the Buckeyes throwing the football? Maybe I'm dead wrong. I just cannot see that happening.
I can't, but then again, I didn't see him throwing for 250, yards combined with Angeli against Penn State. So I will say that, I mean, I'm being pretty negative towards Notre Dame. I mean, there's a pathway here. Ohio State has turnovers. Well, guess what? Notre Dame's number 1 in the country in forcing turnovers, so they're capable of doing it. And then I will also say that Notre Dame's offense, the final 32 minutes against Penn State. Now, Ohio State's defense is better than Penn State, but Notre Dame put up 27 points and over 300 yards in 32 minutes of football. That's pretty good offensively.
They look great.
That was their best offensive performance, in my opinion, relative to their opponent's strength of any game all season. And I'll also say they weren't great against Georgia, but they were one pre-snap motion penalty away from running the entire last 9 minutes of the game out against Georgia's defense. So, yeah, they're going to have to play bully ball, get in a phone booth like Michigan and, just be more efficient, make less mistakes than Ohio State.
Well, you hit on it too in your Henderson answer. That Texas game, they were constantly in 1st and 20 and 2nd and 15 with the stupid penalties, and they were going backwards.
Yeah, I mean, if Ohio State makes as many mental errors in this game, I'm here to tell you, Notre Dame's defense isn't giving up a 75-yard screen pass touchdown with 20 seconds left before the half. They're not doing it. So, and guess what? From the 1-yard line, you're getting quarterback power against Ohio State. I know Ohio State's red zone defense has been great, but I'm going to tell you, Riley Leonard's running the football 3-4 times in a row, and likely that's a touchdown on the board for Notre Dame and not for Ohio State the other way like we saw, with Jack Sawyer against Texas.
Yeah, well said. So Notre Dame team total under. You bet Ohio State alt numbers. Any other player props that you would consider at this point?
The one I liked, can't take credit for it because a couple guys were on top of it before me. His name's Franchise, but his name is Notre Dame's third string running back, Aeneas Williams, had 66 yards receiving against Penn State. And what did Texas hurt Ohio State in? Was throwing the running backs out of the backfield. So I think a similar game plan for Notre Dame. 11 of the 18 receptions that Williams has had this season is coming to 3 playoff games. So they'll throw to him out of the backfield. That's maybe one weakness that Notre Dame can take advantage of. So over receiving yards for him, it's like 24.5, 25.5.
All right. Excellent. Enjoy the game. You're from Ohio, but you grew up a Notre Dame fan, and it should be a fun one for you to have your eyeballs on Monday night. We can't thank you enough for popping on every single Thursday throughout the entire season, Brad. It was awesome. Much appreciated.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
You're the best.
Be good.
Thanks.
Enjoy the game. Good luck. He joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Follow him on social media at BradPower7.
Circa Las Vegas owner Derek Stevens in studio tomorrow, and he's offering you 15% off at 3 great properties. Circa, the D, Golden Gate. Save big with the promo code VSIN15. Book your stay right now. CircaLasVegas.com, code VSIN15. Get 15% off. Your Vegas adventure starts here. Great time. The history. They did awesome. We'll play it tomorrow. Derek put out something great on Instagram about the history of Golden Gate as well, where the Rat Pack used to hang and drink. And that was the Frank B. Trivia question about the oldest telephone.
Yep.
Everything over there, the history, Golden Gate. Get the suite, get the penthouse. Always a great time. CircaLasVegas.com.
Sal. What is that? Las Vegas backwards?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you had to know what it was?
Yes. Yeah. Another good one.
We'll look at UFC 311. Lou Finocchiaro up next. Has the number on the favorite in the main event gotten too high?